these days. Ooh, look, fucking
Oh, yeah.
confetti.
Send off as a swan song album of a genre. I
Yeah.
can't think of a better one.
Hey, hey, Lorraine Lewis here from Vixen. You are watching the Crash Course Metal Show with Trevor Knight. Yeah.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Crash Course Metal Show. We got a very interesting episode here and also very interesting guests. We got the hair metal guru, Anthony. What is going on, my man? Thank you for coming on the channel.
Hey man, thank you for having me on. It's been great, getting to know you through watching your videos, but today's the first time we meet. So,
Right.
man, I'm pumped. I'm looking forward to the episode. So, thanks for having me here.
Of course. You have a great channel over there because like you talk about all the 80s hair metal stuff and then some other stuff too, but like you have great guests on. Just it's interesting, like all the different topics that there really is in this subgenre of metal, and it's awesome. So what we're gonna be bringing you guys today is 5 albums, hair metal albums that survived the wave of grunge, that crazy scene. As far as survived, that kind of we kind of define it as bands that had that hair metal style, or they kept their hair metal style, just party songs type deal, or they did get a little bit more serious on some of these, but it was a natural progression and not so much of a force, right? Is that kind of
Right. Yeah. So I was looking for, there are some of my favorite albums, and I'll Warrant's Ultraphobic. You can't, because they did put that grunge sound into that album. Same thing with their follow-up. There are other bands who did that, but I'm gonna have bands on my list that really kept the style that made them famous. Some bands that grew a little bit, got a little bit tougher in their sound. But they didn't go full grunge, and they tried to keep what the fans wanted.
Exactly. And that's all what we ask at the end of the day. We don't want we love you for a reason. Don't go end up totally doing a 180 on us, or a 360 if you will, and just it ruins the mood. So all right, Anthony, so we each have 5 here, and would you like to give us your first option?
Yeah, so one of my favorite bands out of this genre is Kix. Man, when the album Blow My Fuse came out in 88, I was all over that. It didn't kind of struggled until the ballad Don't Close Your Eyes came out. But fell in love with that band. So that album, I think, went gold. I don't think it made it to platinum. The follow-up, Hotwire in 91, is phenomenal. Didn't sell that well. So they take a break for 4 years and come back in 1995 with the album Show Business. And this album got no publicity. Like I'm a big rock and metal magazine collector. If you see my house, like it's full of framed music ads all over the place. And there was no information about Show Business. In fact, I remember walking in this music store that I used to go visit in Fargo, and holy shit, there's an album from Kix out, and there's like 1 copy. So I buy the shit out of that thing and bring it home. And I'll be damned, in 95, that they came out acting like the 90s never happened. It's still got that 3-chord kind of AC/DC, riff sounds. Steve Whiteman is still just howling like he did on, what the hell is that album called? Shit. The
Blow My
previous
Fuse.
one, Blow My Fuse. Geez. So anyway, here, I'll give you a couple songs. I mean, even check out these titles if you want to know that they didn't grow into Ball Baby, Fireballs, 911, Put Your Money Where My Mouth Is. So they definitely did not change with the times. And hey, I salute it. It's a great album. It disappeared. The band didn't do anything until their Rock Your Face Off in 2014, but I love that band and love that album.
Yeah, that's one that I actually do not have in the collection, because Kix is actually like they were from Baltimore as a whole, and that is actually like 90 minutes away from me. So like I know Steve Youngkins, the guitar player. Like I see him. He has his own original band now, and the Blues Vultures, and really good, really bluesy though. But like, yeah, they're a great group of guys. Like, but like, it's crazy though, like how close they are, homegrown they are to me. I
Yeah,
probably only ever seen that album one time in my life physically. Like,
sure.
crazy, crazy. I'm still looking for it, and it blows my mind. Great album though.
And I have, so I don't, I don't know what it goes for on eBay. I have the CD, but so they just retired,
Right.
as far as hair metal bands retire these days. Ooh, look, fucking
Oh yeah.
confetti. But I saw them live last year, and Steve Whiteman's got to be 60.
Oh yeah.
And they are such a phenomenal live band. And I know it's not the completely original band, but
Right.
Steve Whiteman can sing. That dude puts on a show, and I can never pump that band enough.
I agree. They are one of the best live that I've ever seen. I seen them 5 times, and every time I seen them, hell of a show, hell of energy too.
Oh,
I I don't even have that
totally.
energy, and I'm half his age. So
Right.
it's crazy.
Right.
But that's a good choice though. Kicks. That's one that since I don't have it in the collection, I kind of like went like I didn't even think about that. But that's a really good choice. I like that.
Thank you.
So all right. So Anthony, my first choice here is I know when we first started talking about ideas for the episode, and we came to this topic, and I was like, all right, man, first one, I'm taking it off the table. And that is going to be 1994's Gotthard, or I mean Gotthard. I don't know how you really say it, but they are from Switzerland, so throw that slang in there if you will.
Right.
But the album is Dial Hard. And I gotta say something, man. Like this album is so good. And like Gotthard as a band, they have over like 10 studio albums. They're really big over in Europe. But obviously here, this is the second album. They did have a debut that came out in 1992. I personally don't like it nearly as much as Dial Hard. But Dial Hard though has this great guitar tone to it, great riffage all the way around. It is heavier on the bluesier side of things, but not overly bluesy. So, like, if someone that doesn't really care for the blues style of music will be like, "Oh, no, no, that's too bluesy for me."
Right.
But Steve Lee, great songwriter. All throughout the catalog, I only have their first 5 albums on in this like compilation that Sony put out, but all of them are really good. But Dial Hard though, I know you have or had a connection to Jani Lane, and that's a guy that I always said was one of the most underrated songwriters of the '80s. And I throw like in my top 3 or top 5, I throw Steve Lee up here with Goddard as a songwriter as one of my
Wow.
favorites up until he died. He died like in the mid 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, from like a motorcycle accident, so taken way too soon. And but like just great music all the way around. But yeah, so like just a couple standout tracks that I absolutely love is She Goes Down, Love for Money. That is one of the coolest riffs, one of the coolest just rock and metal songs, especially of 1994. And it just blows my mind that it didn't get any kind of play over here, but obviously 1994, don't have to
Yeah.
don't have to look too hard as to why not. But like Dirty Devil
Right.
Rock, the intro to that song has Beavis and Butthead on it as the intro. And that
Oh,
always made me wonder, like, did Mike Judge know of this band? Like the creator of Beavis and Butthead? Like I don't know where that connection was. And then even on at the end of Love for Money, it sounds like Gene Simmons says, so what are you supposed to do when someone drops off a line and doesn't come back? It sounds like Gene Simmons. Somebody go listen to that and tell me I'm crazy, but I think that's Gene Simmons that says that at the end. I don't,
right.
but like this album has everything going for it. But obviously if it came out even in like 1991, it would have had a way better shot. And obviously promotion plays a big deal in that. But
Sure.
yeah, Goddard Dial Hard, that's my first choice, Anthony. That's I had to get that off my chest because I haven't talked about that album on my channel for this might be the first time I'm actually talking about, but it's been a staple in my heart for a long time. So good stuff for me.
Ryan that does a lot of my episodes. We do an
Right? Yeah.
episode a week, and he has talked about Goddard. I'm probably gonna blow. I know of Goddard, and I know I've listened to him.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, sitting right here, I couldn't tell you a song. And part of what I love about doing this shit is is hearing these bands that these people are, and like right now I'm like, shit, as soon as I get done with this, I got to go listen to that CD. So I love being exposed to new things and finding out what people are passionate about.
Right.
And, you know, and that is a band that, man, so when did their first album come out?
1992. So,
Okay.
and
And that's their second release.
correct. This is the first one right here.
Okay.
I think it's actually, it might be self-titled. Yeah, it's self-titled, but
Sure.
yeah, but I would tell you to go to the second one because I only probably like half of the debut album. I don't know what it is, but every time I
Right.
put it on, it just does not capture what Dial Hard has. So,
Right.
but then even
Right.
after Dial Hard, real quick, they started moving away from the hair metal, like the sleazy. This Dial Hard has an edge to it, and they kind of went more of like the mainstream rock, if you will, but not like not like pussified or anything like that. But it was like still great songwriting, and
Right.
it's what Bon Jovi wanted to be, in the 90s. So that's where I'm gonna put that because I don't want to go on a rant about Bon Jovi, but Gotthard was what Bon Jovi wanted to be. There you go. That's where I'm at with
Right.
that.
And Bon Jovi hasn't been what I wanted Bon Jovi to be since about 89. So
Look like garbage.
All right, my
anyway.
man. What is your second choice?
Okay. Well, before we started recording here, you had kind of mentioned that Cinderella is one of your favorite bands.
Hell yes.
Yep.
And Cinderella, man, if I had to list my top 5 hair metal bands of all time, Cinderella would be in there. And you know, I I know that Night Songs would be in my top 10 hair metal albums of all
Okay.
time, the debut. I love Long Cold Winter. Uh they lost me a little bit with the blues stuff. I'm not a blues guy. The
Right.
song Long Cold Winter, I think sucks balls to be honest, and is my least favorite song in their catalog.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's just the song.
Right,
So
right. Yep.
in 1990, Heartbreak Station comes out. Man, I'm just jacked for that album. Now I like that album. There
Mhm.
is some great stuff, and I'm not, you know, I like some country. There was some country sounds in there, but
Mhm.
it was so bluesy, and there was so little of that super hard, catchy guitar riff. You know, the Gypsy Road, the Shake Me. So anyway,
Yep.
uh, and that album, it did go platinum, but I think it went platinum because of how well Long Cold Winter and Night Songs
Right.
did.
Riding the
So,
coattails.
right. A lot of people were disappointed with Heartbreak Station. I was one of them. Well, Tom Kiefer has a bunch of vocal problems, so
Yep.
unfortunately, the follow-up, Still Climbing, doesn't come out until 94. There you go. You got it. Shit, you got it on vinyl.
Yeah, yep.
Calls. Man, that's a tough score. Uh so yes, great call. So 94. And it was as if Tom Kiefer had heard everybody saying, dude, please rock. Hey, fuck around with the blues and shit if you need to, but give us some of what made us love this band. And Tom
Right.
Kiefer listened. Still Climbing is a return to form.
Mhm.
The rock songs, All Comes Down, Blood from a Stone, Easy Come, Easy Go, Hot and Bothered, which wasn't that on the Wayne's World soundtrack?
Yes, the first Wayne's World. Yep.
And then there's a couple great ballads. And man, I mean, Tom Kiefer in that gritty voice is just made for ballads. Shit.
All right.
Hard to Find the Words, which is, I'm kind of a mama's boy, so it's a song for his mom.
Right.
And
Yeah.
don't tell
It's an
anybody that.
emotional song.
Oh shit, yes, it's emotional. And then there's another one called Through the Rain. Well, I mean, we're gonna say this throughout this whole episode. Anything that came out in 94 or during these years didn't stand a chance. But I feel that if Still Climbing came out in 1990 instead of Heartbreak Station, that continues the run of double or triple
Right.
platinum album.
I agree with that. And it's not like because it did come out in '94. It did reach the top 200 Billboard charts, but it was only for like a week or two. It wasn't very long. I mean, even just to reach it though is still kind of a badge of honor. But
Sure.
it did not do anything. But yeah, it just quickly fell off the map because even I remember because like I grew up. My origin story is I was born out of the womb, listening in the family car to Poison, Cinderella, and Brittany Fox. And
Right.
I remember my dad was not very impressed with Still Climbing when it came out. I don't know why.
Are you mental?
I might have to ask him that again, like to really pick his brain on that. But like, I love it. I really like it.
Yeah.
Now like. It was more of a grower though for me, especially coming off because when I look at I have to look at it in retrospect because I was born in '92. So
Yep.
when I listen to all four of these albums, I'm like, this is totally different than the first two, but
Yep.
totally different from Heartbreak Station. So it does have a little bit more of an edge, a sleazier feel on some of these songs. But I
Yep.
have to say, the title track, Still Climbing, I love that. I love that drum like snare intro and just the electric slide guitar right at the beginning of the solo. Like as soon as he like rips that, like, and I'm like, everyone look the fuck out. He means
Yeah.
business right now. So, but no,
Yeah.
I love that album. It's a great album, but it's anything Cinderella that I'm gonna like.
Yeah.
Even Heartbreak Station. Like now that was a grower. I will agree with you. For
Yeah.
me, like the older I get, the more I appreciate it and love it for
Right.
what it is. But it was a grower for me though too, but Still Climbing, that's a great choice.
I mean, with how well the first two albums go triple platinum.
Yep.
Heartbreak goes platinum. And so yes, you don't expect it to do well in '94, but in '94, Tesla's Bust a Nut went gold.
Yeah, yeah,
So
because
I would have thought, and I think a lot of it because again, no promotion for this album. It just showed up in a record store one day. You weren't getting tons of articles and
exactly.
promotion.
Yep.
So I feel like it should have been able to hang with Tesla, but what the fuck do I know? I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're just fans. We don't know anything. Yeah, but no, yeah, because like you said, another example was Poison. Just came out a year prior, and that went gold.
And that
And
went
I mean, and
gold.
they had a music video for that. So I mean, there was promotion, somewhat, some kind of
Yeah.
promotion behind it. And
Yep.
it's just crazy to think about it. I don't know if it was because they weren't sure about Tom's vocals or they didn't like the name Cinderella. I heard that too. The record
Sure.
company didn't like the name Cinderella, and that
Yeah.
was a total like flop just right from the start. New kids that in '94 wanted to listen to a band called Cinderella. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
whatever.
So that's my number two.
All right, I like that number two a lot. That's a good one. So my number two here is one that I don't think a lot of people talk about. I don't know anyone on any channel that talked about this band. That kind of happens a decent amount to me, but I don't know if you ever talked about 'em, but that's gonna be the Dead Boys, Alleycat Scratch. Here we go. Now this is the album is this is more of like a compilation, like a reissue. This isn't like the actual cover. I'll put the cover up for
Sure.
you guys on the video. But yeah, it came out. I see different years that it came out. Some people say 93, some people say 94. It wasn't on a very big label, so that could have some kind of issue there. If you could just kind of tell by a look at him here, a little bit more of a vampire type deal compared to Pretty Boy Floyd. Like it's like a Pretty Boy
Right.
Floyd type deal, but more edgier, more sleazier. Like Pretty Boy Floyd is you take Poison to 100, and then Alleycat Scratch is take it the other way, more sleazier times 100.
Right.
So, which I really dig that because like I like Pretty Boy Floyd, but they're not gonna make any type of big list of mine or small list, I guess. But Alleycat Scratch though, really good. But 1994, just way too late. They did have a Europe kind of deal, a tour to go out, but as soon as that got cut in 1994, they kind of said, "Hey, we're kind of just gonna hang it up. We're gonna because they were pretty big in LA at the time. Like
Yeah.
they opened for Pretty Boy Floyd, the Troubadour. That was like their home there.
Yep.
And yeah, they once that tour got cut, they sold like 1,000 copies just like themselves in
Yeah.
1993, 1992, 1994. Like that's crazy, especially when the scene was all but dead. And I gotta say, if this is the last, like the album to send off as a swan song album of a genre, I
Yeah.
can't think of a better one from a new band, like from a band that was like, hey, we're here. This is what we're all about. And we're not even going to try to fight or change. We're just doing what we do, good, what we're good at. And, I got to give them props for that and just calling it quits after they did their thing for a couple years and call it
Yep.
done. But no, Take a Bite Out of Me should have been a massive single. Great song. Oh my God. Like, even when I was young, like, because this is an album that's really hard to find, obviously, because there was not really on a big label. It does get reissued from time to time, but
Yep.
still, that's still expensive and hard to find. But yes, but everything's tongue in cheek here. Uh, the lyrics are not 1994, so they're like, yeah, we see the writing on the wall. Everyone wants to talk about depression and killing themselves and shit
Yeah.
like that. And, we're talking about, having fun, having parties and very tongue in cheek stuff and
Right.
but great guitar solos all the way around, great riffs, good stuff. But like sexual addiction is one of the songs. Lovesick Junkie, just Cheap City Thrills. Like, just they're here to have fun. Plastic Dolls, talking about 16-year-old girls. It's like, when I was young, I thought, oh yeah, this is cool. I'm right. That's me. I'm that age. But now it's like, okay, maybe that is a little tongue in cheek and
Yeah.
immature. But come on, it's all in fun. Like we're not
Yeah.
here to cure cancer, Anthony. That's what I think a lot of people get mixed up with hair metal and sleaze metal and glam metal and stuff. Like we're here to have a good time. I don't want to be thinking about the world. I don't want to be thinking about depressive shit because you go through that enough in your own life. Like I don't want to be bombarded, vibrationally with music with that kind of shit. So that's kind of my thought. But Dead Boys and Dead Boys and Trash City is a great album, 1994. Pretty much the swan song, if you will, album of hair metal, glam metal, sleaze metal, whatever you want to put them in the genre of. But that's my second choice, Anthony.
So I like how you said like, hey, this genre was dedicated to good times, but I've always said this. I always felt like, people would say that grunge, and I was in college in 91 when grunge came out. We were all watching MTV when this new band Nirvana comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And people would say, "Oh, well, grunge is so real and hair metal isn't." And I was like, you know what? I completely disagree.
Yep. 100%.
Faster Pussycat could have the fun party sex shit. Then they could throw you a House of Pain. Poison could have the fun sex shit. Then they had And Every Rose Has Its Thorn, Something to Believe in. So I felt like you were getting, both. You were getting, hey, the downs of life. You were getting the ups of life. But
Right.
Pearl Jam and Nirvana were never going to be able to tell you anything happy.
Yeah.
They could only talk about the bad. And for that, I'm like, well, yes, there are some people who might have, crappy lives, but most of us have ups and downs. And grunge was only going to give you the downs, and hair metal was going to give you a little bit of both, and that's why I loved it. And I love that band. And in the early 90s, there was a string of really cool young bands that came out, like Alleycat Scratch, Penny Lane. Some of them kind of mixed like pop punk with hair metal, but
Yeah.
they were like, fuck it, we're gonna put on the makeup and we're gonna pretend like the 90s aren't happening. And
Crayola Kids, I think, right?
yeah, I think I remember that name. Big Bang
Yes.
Babies,
Yep.
who had Carrie Kelly in it. So anyway, obviously none of those bands never, wound up making it big, but they tried to keep the scene going, and I salute them because they were like, screw it, grunge is happening. We're not going along. We like this stuff, and we're gonna go with what our hearts say we're gonna go with.
100%. And we can't ask for nothing more than that. You know, they did their thing, and it only lasted one album, but hey, at least we have that album. It's not forgotten to history. They weren't just a glorified troubadour house band, you know, at the end of the day.
Yep.
So very cool. But yeah, Alleycat Scratch, that's my second choice. Anthony, what is your third?
Well, I didn't wear this Lillian Axe shirt for nothing today, Krash. If anybody who's been on my page, man, I talk about Lillian Axe probably too much. Sometimes in my videos, I'm like, I'm sorry, I got to do it one more time. But they're such an underrated, and I don't want to say underappreciated. I know a lot of people love this band, but they just never made it to where I thought they should have. They put out 3 great albums, 88, 89, 89's Love and War, Poetic Justice, and 92 is this shirt. And then, which actually, you know, did fairly well compared to their first 2 albums. They put out an album called Psycho Schizophrenia in 93.
Hey, I'm Psycho
Yep, there's the cover. It actually has been re-released on vinyl. You can find it on Amazon. Poetic Justice has also been re-released on vinyl. And there are, like, it definitely didn't go grunge, but lyrically, it definitely went a little bit darker on this album. But musically, it wasn't the down-tuned, you know, Alice in Chains shit. But man, Steve Blaze is just such a phenomenal songwriter, and I did an episode on our 10 favorite hair metal vocalists, and Ron Taylor from Lillian Axe, I think, came in at number 3 for me. So
Okay.
Crucified, Moonlight in Your Blood, Now You Know, and then 2 ballads, The Day I Met You and The Needle in Your Pain. I mean, just even thinking about those 2 songs kind of gives me goosebumps. The album doesn't do well. Ron Taylor is no longer in the band, but they are still out there doing it. They put out an album recently. They're out there touring. But one of the reasons I started my channel was to be able to promote bands like this that I love that just didn't get a fair shake.
Yep. And that's I agree with that because not a lot of people do know who Lillian Axe is. And I kind of like, if someone were to ask, I'm going to throw this in your court and see if I'm correct here. When someone asks me who Lillian Axe sounds like or what they are, I kind of feel like when I listen to them, because I'm not the biggest Lillian Axe guy, like I did revisit all 3 of those albums that you mentioned, first 3, because I do have them, but they're just not ones that I listen to multiple times a year. I feel like Lillian Axe is more, throughout the whole catalog, more of a serious type, more of a technical, slightly progressive feel to it. Okay.
I can hear that. So the first album was produced by Robin Crosby from Rat.
Okay.
So that is definitely the most straight ahead rock. I mean, you will probably think, oh shit, those riffs kind of sound Rat inspired. But then so the singer was he came from a different band called Stiff, Ron Taylor, and he kind of said, hey, I like let's go with some of the party rock. You know, he introduced a song called My Number, which is a sexual rocker. It's actually a cover from a band called Girl. Okay. But Steve Blaze, the main songwriter, he's definitely more introspective, more, you know, a lot deeper in his lyrics. So I can sense some progressive tones, especially on Psycho Schizophrenia.
Right.
On their third album, it's a mixture. There is some of the just straight ahead party rock, and then there's some of the deeper and darker maybe guitar tones on that album. But however you can get into this band, just give them a listen, so you won't regret.
Yeah. Because I will say, my favorite song in the whole catalog is Body Double. Probably, I do really enjoy that song off of Poetic Justice.
Right.
Really good stuff. But yeah, because I was like, oh man, I think I'm gonna really enjoy this band. Like that was like the first song I ever heard of from them. And then like when I just keep listening to these albums, I'm like, damn it, something's just not working for me. And I'm like, oh man, but no.
Hey, if I was gonna give there's 2 songs that I would start. True Believer of Poetic Justice
Okay. Yep.
Should have been the first single, should have gotten a video. And then there's a mid-tempo rock song called Dying to Live that I think just has phenomenal lyrics. So to the average fan, start with those two songs. If you don't like those two songs, then bail because you probably aren't going to like the rest of them.
Good choice, though, nonetheless, because when I do listen to this album, like you said, it is darker, but it still holds true to what Lillian Axe is. So more than qualifies for the list. So good choice number 3 there. But for my number 3, I'm going to go with another band actually that I know damn sure no one knows about and that is going to be Razamanaz.
Hey, now you speak my language here.
Hey, I need a little love, you'll say. Hey, I'm in a state of emergency. I got a pocket full of aces and eights, and now it's time to roll.
Came out in 1993, 1994. They formed in 1993. So if anyone's not familiar, the guitar player is Michael Kelly Smith from Britny Fox. And I was like, this is crazy to me that because obviously after Bite Down Hard in 1991, Britny Fox started having little disputes within the band and stuff, and just they were ready to call it, you know. And definitely Michael Kelly Smith being from Philly, which we are going to be talking about the Philly scene again here shortly, but there was a Philly scene back in the 80s and early 90s. Like everyone talks about New York and, you know, LA, the Sunset Strip, which I mean, rightfully so, but Philly had great bands. Pennsylvania in general had great bands, even up until this day. You know, like you had Tangier, you had Heaven's Edge, you had Cinderella, Britny Fox, Poison, you know, Razamanaz, and then also too, a lot of people don't know Dirty Looks actually came from Pennsylvania. They came from Erie. That's crazy to me. When I found that out, I'm like, okay, that's even cooler. And then obviously we mentioned earlier, Baltimore, Kix, literally an hour away from me here in Pennsylvania. So we have a good hub here. But Razamanaz, though, this album, pretty much self-titled. It was on Paris Records, and I don't know. Good luck trying to find a copy of it because I need to talk to Tom Mathers from Cherry Street because I don't know if they still have any issues. I know Michael Kelly because I talked to Michael Kelly. I said, dude, do you have any copies of this? I'm going crazy. I texted him and he was like, yeah, I do have actually a couple copies left. So if you want one, better grab it now. And but no, I don't know if there's any reissues. So I don't know. But either way, you want to talk about, you did bring it up before, but this album, you put it on. It does not sound like 1994. One single note of it does not sound like 1994. It's absolutely blowing to me. And Michael Kelly, he talks to me about this album a lot. Like he's proud of it, and he's proud that he worked with these guys. These were the other 3 guys were kind of like all-star guys from Philly in local bands that just did not make it, you know, in the scene or like a record deal and stuff. But it's kind of like an all-star lineup here. Obviously, leading the way, Michael Kelly Smith. I've always been a big fan of his guitar playing, and he just absolutely rips on this. The first 2 songs, if you cannot get in the first 2 songs urgency and feel it, there's something literally wrong with you, and you should not be watching this video. I literally, like, come on. Just great riffage. Corey, I believe the singer, sounds great. They do a cover here, which I'm not a big covers guy, but I always tell Michael Kelly, I'm like, you know, you always do covers. I'm not a big cover guy, but I actually do like every cover that Britny Fox did, and then obviously they do a cover here of Aerosmith, Seasons of Wither, which does sound really good. It sounds almost as close as Aerosmith's version. But no, you got like really good stuff, and they do a couple of like instrumentals too, so you really get to hear the band play really well. Michael Kelly's just ripping on it, and then I do enjoy the Mudslide, which is like just Michael Kelly doing some work, instrumental work, and then at the end, like the last half of the song, the whole band comes in then and starts doing like Red House. If anyone's familiar with that blues song from like Jimi Hendrix, and like a lot of other people covered it too, which I thought was like super cool. But it's like, if you guys can find this album, please, or just if we have to like contact Paris Records, which I'm going to actually text Tom Mathers after this and be like, we need to like work something out here to bring this back into publication or like reissue it or something. Because like it's something, especially Britney Fox fans just don't know who this is, and that's a shame because a lot of people that know Britney Fox do know Black Eyed Susan, with Dizzy Dean, and like even some of Tommy Paris's solo work now and stuff, and then with Count 77, I believe, and stuff like that. But like no one ever really talks about the Michael Kelly Smith project. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Were you familiar with this at the time, or
I have that CD.
do you? Okay, good.
When it came out on Paris, and man, I'm such a Britney Fox fan, and I did a video on the first three Britney Fox albums. I love 1991's Bite Down Hard, but I love all of them. And so they break up, and then now I don't know a lot about, like, I just know about Michael Kelly Smith. I don't know anybody in that band.
Right.
I don't know if they tried to tour, or if they just put out an album, or if they just played locally in Philadelphia. But it's a great album, but it's not gonna make it big, because of timing, but but yeah, you're right. It's a great album.
Yeah, it's one, like I said, it just kind of gets overlooked by the Cinderella Britney Fox fans, and that's why I kind of really want to bring it up. But it stands on its own now as well. It's very good, very good. It gets overlooked. So that is my third choice, and I think that's all I really wanted to say about that album. Other than Michael Kelly does, I will shout out the rest of the band because like Michael Kelly says they were like one of the best bands that he worked with, like great group of guys professionally and stuff, which he does. Yeah, if you know anything like about how Britney Fox, like the whole through the catalog, there are some ups and downs, and even still to this day, sadly. But he says these guys were like one of the best group of guys to work with, and it does show on the album too. It's great, cohesive, and everything. So. Anthony, go ahead, my man. Tell us your next choice.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, you
yeah.
brought up Dirty Looks. Damn, I Dirty Looks didn't make my list, but they would be in my honorable. Chewing on the Bit from 93, I think, or no, 94. Right. Anyway, another Pennsylvania band that I love. So okay. And speaking of Dirty Looks, who I think are kind of an AC/DC-ish sounding band in a way, my next pick is completely beholden to AC/DC. They are Rhino Bucket with an album called Pain. So Rhino Bucket, let me be clear, is not a hair metal band. They are a straight ahead 3-chord, I don't want to say an AC/DC clone because they are influenced by AC/DC. Definitely have a lot of similar sounds, but I feel like they do it in their own way. So you aren't going to get ballads. You aren't going to get like, oh baby, I love you shit on a Rhino Bucket album. But this album, Pain, is just dirty, greasy, AC/DC influenced rock. Check out Bird on a Wire. Yeah. Check out Pain. But then my two of my favorite songs of the Rhino Bucket catalog, and they have a lot of albums out now.
Yeah.
Go check out I Was Told, and then check out What You Expect, because holy shit, those two songs fucking rule. I mean, I just, anytime I get a chance to talk about this album, I'm like, those two songs, I feel like if AC/DC had those two songs, the album they put out in 95, I think it was Ball Breaker, would have gone 8 times platinum, and people would be talking about it, in terms of like, oh man, after Back in Black, you should, AC/DC was, and I love AC/DC. They were starting to get to put in a lot of filler in albums in by that time. But Rhino Bucket, Pain, shit. If you like AC/DC, check that shit out. You won't regret it.
100%. With Rhino Bucket and Dirty Looks, you know what to expect. There's no reason to change the formula. There's no reason to expect anything different. But yeah, they're great because like when you are in that like kind of a little bit of a bluesy mood, real edgy stuff, no pretty no pretty lyrics or vocal deliveries, just straight up in your face. It doesn't get much better than those bands, but yeah, Pain though, that's one that I do not have either. It's very hard to find, and like you said, Bird on a Wire, I really enjoy that. When I revisited this album, I was like, that's one that really stuck out to me, and it's just like you said, you get the great riffs. So I mean,
And
nothing to complain about.
I love vocalists who don't have pretty voices. I mean, guys who sound like they've been drinking razor blades and snorting Drano for the last 10 years. And you're like, oh man, your vocal cords are shredded. And anyway, like kind of like Stephen Piercy, Bon Scott,
Mhm.
Brian Johnson. Like I dig that shit. So, yeah,
Yeah.
man, I love
Hey,
that.
there's a place for all of that in the world of metal. So I'm with you 100%. So, but that's a good choice because I'm a big fan of Rhino Bucket as well. Just great, straightforward stuff.
Yep.
So, all right, for my next pick is going to be another Philly band that just came out way too late, and this is their first album here. Kiss Me in French from the band Sikki Fikk. Another one from the Philly scene, like I said, just came out way too late, 1993. Now, I will say you did have kind of like two different styles of hair metal, I guess, if you will. You had at this time, or from like '89 to on, you had kind of like that AOR type deal, and then you
Yep.
also had like the sleaziness, and then you had some stuff in between there. But that's generally what I see, like, when I look back on it.
Yep.
And Sick Vicky would be kinda, like, in that real melodic type deal. Like, this album here, it has 3 great ballads. Please check out Cry. I just did a ballad video the other day, and Cry made it, and it's just absolutely great stuff. Richie sounds really good. Pat, these are I met these guys too. They came to one of my meet and greets, at a record expo, and awesome. They finally reformed, a few years ago, and hopefully we get something new from them soon. They
Yeah.
do seem to be serious about this, and the reunion and stuff. So very cool. But I think "Tough Enough" is a really one of the tougher songs on this, but it's not like Spread Eagle. Don't get me wrong for the time. It's not that. This is a perfect album that has like great hooks, great melodies, one that you could play at a party, and like
Yeah.
the girls will be starting to sway, starting to move. Like everyone, even the guys probably too. Like
Don't forget the bitches.
everyone can get into like every one of these songs. It's like the perfect, not too heavy, not too edgy, but just enough rock and or hard rock in it to be like to catch the guys' attention too. And I can't like this is an album that I actually found or like came across. I came across the band like I guess maybe 2 years now, and like I was like, where the hell was this all my life? Like Philly's like 2 hours from me. Where's this been all my life? Like I don't know. It's crazy to me how close things are, but so far away at the same time when it comes to music, and especially when you're spanning different times, decades and stuff too. So,
Yep.
but no, yeah, great ballads though. If you're a big ballad guy or girl, check out those 3 ballads, especially Cry. But yeah, it's nothing musically like or instrumentally that will blow you away on this album, like guitar solos and such. But they do
Yeah.
everything is kind of like perfectly placed though. Everything's done perfectly.
Sure.
Like, just great hooks all the way around. If you're into that hookage, great melodies and stuff, that's the perfect album. Sick Vicky, 1993, Kiss Me in French.
So I'll be honest, it wasn't until I saw a video of yours, and I was actually just watching your ballad video before we got in here,
Hmm.
and you're talking about Sick Vicky, that song "Cry."
Right.
Well, my buddy Ryan also mentioned Sick Vicky to me, so I didn't know about him back in the last couple months or whatever that I heard you two, and so I went and checked it out. You're right, like definitely more melodic, like if you put Wild Side or Guns N' Roses or Skid Row on the sleazy side and Danger Danger on the other side, like
Right.
I felt like Sick Vicky would have been more, closer to the Danger Danger side, a little bit more pop metal. But I
Yeah.
love that shit too. I mean, I love
Oh
the
yeah.
greasy, grimy stuff, but I love ballads and Cry, man, what a phenomenal song. So I don't have that album.
Right.
I'm hoping I can find it online because I need it. And that's again one of the reasons I love doing this. One of the reasons I love watching your show is, man, I'm finding out bands that I didn't know existed. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and that keeps everything alive too, to an extent. So like that's great because that's what I'm like, I can't be the only one that knows about this stuff, like so it's
Right.
great to see your channel and even like other channels that are popping up and just seeing that there is appreciation for this stuff still, even after all
Yep.
these years, sad to say.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
yeah, good deal, man. So what is are we on our last one, I think? Are we on
Yep.
our last choice? Okay. All right, so do you mind giving us your final choice for tonight?
Here we go. So before I give you the band name, I've talked about, man, one of my favorite hair metal bands, Cinderella, and I talked about my love of gritty vocalists, and I mentioned Stephen Pearcy from Rat.
Mhm.
Well, Rat, their last album in 1990, Detonator, goes gold, but Robin Crosby is having drug problems. The band breaks up. Um, Tom Kiefer has vocal problems, so Cinderella is off for a few years. So Fred Coury, the drummer from Cinderella, and Stephen Pearcy get together with Frankie Wilczek's,
Mhm.
who hopefully I pronounced that right, from Sea Hags, and
Yeah.
start a band called Arcade. They put out their self-titled debut in 1993. This album, oh, there you go. And let's be honest, that cover sucks, and the band name isn't much better. So what the fuck you were thinking? But the quality of the songs, and pardon my language, the quality of the songs did not suffer because they put all their time and thinking into songs and not the cover of the fucking album. Uh, so it comes out in 93, and I will put this album up there with the best of Rat. And it's got the Rat sound because Stephen Pearcy's vocals are so, original. So
Right.
anyway, I'll give you
Distinct.
the
Yeah.
songs. Dancing with the Angels, Nothing to Lose, Screaming SOS, Never Going Home. Fuck, those rock songs are just, man, greasy and grimy and Rat influenced, amazing. And then Stephen Pearcy, to me, I've never thought of him as having a ballad voice, but shit, this album has like 3 great ballads. So Good, So Bad, Mother Blues, and then Cry No More is on the edge of a ballad. It's maybe a little bit mid-tempo after the song gets rolling.
Mhm.
But if you like Rat, and I'm talking about the sleazier side of Rat, the out of the cellar invasion of your privacy, you will love Arcade. I can't promote that band enough.
Yeah, I'm with it. This was a pleasant surprise. I had this at least for probably 15 years now. And I found him going like across YouTube, and I'm like, oh, why the hell is Stephen Pearcy in this band? Like what's the deal here? And then I ended up picking up the album, and I'm like, this is good. Now I will say I am a ballad guy, but I cannot really get into these ballads. Sometimes when they do come on the playlist, I'm like, so half the time I do skip them. So it's
Yeah,
not that they're bad per se. It's just,
sure.
does it seem like Stephen Pearcy kind of forces it? Like, because I know that's what some people have a problem with. The rap ballad. Giving
Giving
yourself.
yourself away.
Yeah, some people have a problem with that. I think he sounds good, decent enough on that. Like, I do enjoy that song, but like that's some people's complaint. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
that song sucks because he can't sing. Which I mean, to each their own, I guess. But no, I mean, it's a good album. It is very like with Nothing to Lose. That's the single. So heavy bass too, and like
Oh, shit.
I like that you brought up Sea Hags because that's another band that died out way too fast. Second coming of Guns
Yeah.
N' Roses, even maybe.
Yes. Yeah, and you're right. Like Stephen Pearcy, definitely. I mean, his voice is, man, some people love it and some people hate
Right.
it. I'll be honest, I've seen Rat or Pearcy live a bunch of times, and live I probably leave it because it's really rough. But on record, when you can fix everything and Pro Tools it
Right.
and fix the shit out of it, then it sounds great. And yeah, I mean, I love the ballads, but I can see why some people would go, oh, you got this kind of ugly, like scratchy voice trying to sing a pretty love song. For me, it works. I can see why it doesn't work for others, but
Yeah.
they did put out another album in '94 called A2. Definitely harder and darker, and in my opinion, not as good as the debut.
I
But the
agree.
debut ranks up there with, when I talk about hair metal albums that should have been big, that one's in there because it is phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. It is one that everyone does have to check out, especially if you're a Rat fan, or even like if you're a fan of any kind of sleaze type or
Yeah.
real edgier kind of hair metal, I guess. But because I just recently found, like about a year ago, Arcade 2, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, finally, I could finally see what this was all about. And I'm like, there's only like 2 songs that I can even remember on that, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is I mean, it's good to have just a completed collection, but it's like, yeah, just
Yeah.
stick with the first one, please.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Yep.
but that's a good choice, man. Like Stephen Piercy, I mean, he's Stephen Piercy for a reason, and Fred Coury on it. It's like having the Cinderella connection. I'm like, oh shit, I definitely got to have it or listen to it now.
Exactly.
But good deal
Exactly.
though, nonetheless. It's a little bit of a small super group, if you will, like you somewhat mentioned in at the beginning, but just doesn't work at that time. After
Yeah.
91, 92, no matter, you could put out the best album ever in the whole world,
Yep.
whole history of the world, and no one would care.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
all right. So I think I might have the furthest jump ahead album, because we did kind of have guidelines here. We wanted to do 1993 to 1997, which was pretty much the height of a full power of grunge. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have the from 1997, and that is going to be Jackyl's third album, Cut the Crap. Like you said, with the earlier band, Rhino Bucket, not hair metal or anything like that, but for some reason Jackyl gets lumped into that too, and
Yeah.
they're more along the lines of a Rhino Bucket than, say, a Poison or Firehouse or something like that, and
Totally.
yeah, but definitely Jackyl. Because I could have chose the second album too, which is really good, but I think this one doesn't get nearly enough love. Even the one after this, like from 2000 or 2001, is decent and good.
Sure.
But no, you got like Dumbass Country Boy. It's so lead off the album, and he doesn't do like a rap, but he's just like kind of yelling, but it sounds good though too. He's like, yeah, I might just be a one-hit wonder, but it might take me one hit to knock your teeth down your goddamn throat. Like, just like, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. This is good shit. They're not moving from their post. They're gonna die here on this
Right.
hill. And that's what we love, especially in 1997 yet on top of it. And
Yep.
that kind of makes me think too, like the debut came out in 1992, and they're a band that actually like survived the whole reign. Like, there's not too many bands. Like, sure, like there's bands that put out one good album and then just go away, like we mentioned previously. But
Yep.
like Jackyl sustained that, and record companies were still like somewhat promoting it. Like they had 4 albums between the span of 1992 and 2000, and
Yep.
like they sold decently well for what they were. And obviously the title track here, or no, what is it? Locked and Loaded. It does have Brian Johnson from AC/DC,
Yes.
which is another strange thing, especially for at the time. Like, you would think AC/DC kind of wants to kind of like, hey, we're not a part of this deal here,
Sure.
or try to
Yep.
save face or whatever. But hey, props to Brian Johnson going on with Jesse Dupree, singing kind of like a duet, and that's a badass song there. And the title track does bring a chainsaw in, so they do have a chainsaw song, which I'm cool with it. Like, the Lumberjack, I will say though, is my least favorite chainsaw song, because Headed for Destruction, I think, totally rips off the second album with like,
Sure.
it's like a badass solo, like chainsaw solo. But Cut the Crap's cool there too. It's quick and to the point. It's only like a 2.5 minute song. But I have to say, one of my favorite solos on here, and first thing I think of when I think of this album is Misery Loves Company. Oh my god, that solo, as soon as like he's about to like jump into like the intro to the solo, he does like this like like with the guitar or something. I don't know what it is, but he just goes up the neck, I guess, and like and then he just hits this like solo. Cause like these lyrics on some of these songs are darker now. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Jackyl always did have like tongue-in-cheek lyrics, and then they also did have like a somewhat of a darker side after the first album. And but I think it's a perfect blend. It just the solos match up perfectly with Jesse. It's just a great album. You got 11 strong tracks here. I don't know. It's just Jackyl, man. What do you want me to say? Just great stuff. I've seen them live a couple times too, and every time I see them, I'm like, they're right up there with Kix, man, as far as a live performance.
They are phenomenal live. I think that is one thing, because I mean, I think I've seen Jackyl 3 times.
Okay.
And I saw him at a festival once, like a 3-day rock festival.
Yep.
And this is in the 2000s. And when we left, everybody and people who didn't give a shit about Jackyl albums, but everybody was saying, man, who was the best band here? Maybe Jackyl. I mean, so when that's your reputation, and if you can keep going live and support yourself, then you can afford to keep making albums, But bands who can't back up their album with a strong show, those bands disappear, because these days you're not making money from albums. Exactly. You have to make money from touring. And Jesse James Dupree just released a single, a solo single, probably came out a couple weeks ago. Now I can't remember what it's called, but it's got a really interesting video, and the song is really good. And that guy he stays, he doesn't vary too much from where Jackyl started, kind of AC/DC influenced. And I love the Lumberjack song, and I love anytime, because man, anytime he brings up the chainsaw, I'm like fucking, I mean, it goes with the show. Yeah. So I love and respect Jackyl for the same reason that I love and respect AC/DC. They do what they do, and they don't worry about what is going on in the world outside of what they do.
Yep, I agree. And even like the whole discography of Jackyl is pretty good. Like, like I have a lot of their newer stuff too. It's right on par with this the original run, like I'm happy with it. I can't complain. I just wish though, now that I'm thinking about it, like combine those 3 chainsaw songs into like kind of one, like mesh it up, kind of like do like a half of one or a third of one, and I think that would be actually really cool, because like I said, I dig those other 2 chainsaw ones more so than the Lumberjack. I'm like, when I see it, it's cool live, because he like destroys shit while he's singing it. I'm like, damn it, I would really like to hear those other songs like with live, So, but yeah, Jackyl, man, even though they're not hair metal, they fit right in here with this discussion. They said fuck you to grunge, and we're not looking back. So that's all good. But Anthony, so out of the 5 here of yours, what would you say would be your favorite? I know I'm putting you on the spot there with that.
That's okay. The one that I probably go to more these days is probably Psychoschizophrenia from Lillian Axe. It's definitely between Arcade, Rhino Bucket, and Lillian Axe. I find that when I listen to hair metal these days, I really go back to this period.
Oh yeah.
This 92 to 95 era, even though it was the era where the sales really started to drop, a lot of these bands were putting out their best shit. 100%. And because you grow out of the party sex stuff. I mean, I still enjoy that. But you get older and you start appreciating like some of the deeper lyrics. And Psychoschizophrenia is what about you? Like, what's your favorite out of the ones you listed?
I would say Die Hard I would say probably because like as soon as that comes on, like the album or any of the songs off the album, I'm like, God damn that guitar tone or like just like that riff or something, But I mean, I could also go with probably I don't know. I do like the seriousness of the lyrics. I think that's why I gravitate more towards like the sleaze metal side of
Yeah.
hair metal, like
Yeah.
as like all the little offshoots of hair metal.
Same.
Like I think I
Same.
gravitate towards sleaze metal a little bit more, especially now as getting older and stuff, or blues metal for that because I'm a big blues guy. So like I really enjoy like that side of things too. But yeah, I think maybe like Jackal Cut the Crap is one that I don't visit as much as I should. I will say that. Like I had this album for years, and before we did this episode, I probably haven't listened to it for a year.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
been a little while. So, but Hair Metal Guru, my man, thank you, man, for coming on the show. Any final words about these albums?
No, I mean, it's a completely underappreciated and underrated time, and some of the bands that we covered today are some of my favorite bands from this genre, and what I'm really looking forward to is visiting some of the newer stuff. Gotthard, Sikki Fikk, who I need to like listen to their whole album.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, like shit. Jackyl Cut the Crap. I have that CD. It's been years, I bet, since I listened to it. I mean, if you're guys like us, there's so much music around. It's easy to take a favorite album, put it away, and just kind of forget about it.
Yeah,
So
100%. Especially when you're finding new stuff every day,
yeah,
and even like just new modern music too coming out from great new bands that sound like this. Like
yes,
that's awesome too. Like, and it sometimes it does get lost in the shuffle, but that's why we have to, come up with like topics like this so we can bring out this stuff again and just talk about it. So,
exactly. And
but
hey,
yeah, yeah, go.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
You having me on. I really have been enjoying your channel and finding new stuff. And hey, if you my YouTube channel, Hair Metal Guru, I'm on X at Hair Metal Guru. You know, doing the same kind of stuff Krash Man is doing. So thanks again, brother.
You got it, brother. And I will put all the links to where you can find Anthony and Hair Metal Guru down below in the description as well. But thank you, my man, for coming on. This is the best. Like, I always enjoy talking about this stuff because like not nearly enough people are talking about it. And like and sometimes like your videos are so much longer than mine. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I could put like this on and listen to 2 hours worth at work and be like, okay, this is like, I get some ideas, or I'm like, oh, I disagree with that, or like, but yeah, it's all good, man. I enjoy it. Good stuff. Glad that you finally made the jump onto YouTube. What, like you said, a couple years ago. So
Yeah.
good deal, man.
All right.
Good
No,
deal.
thank you, man. Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
thank
I
you,
look
man.
forward to do it again and look forward to having you on with me as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely do a part 2 to this too, because we had plenty of other albums that we talked about too, and just didn't have the time to do that tonight. So, guys, let us know in the comments too what you guys think are what are some hair metal bands or just hair metal albums that just were overlooked or survived grunge, even, and just let us know because there's always some stuff out there that I don't even know about that Hair Metal Guru doesn't even know about. So that's the fun of it, though. At the end of the day, so. Guys, until next time, stay out of that collateral damage. That's Hair Metal Guru. I'm Trevor Krash Knight, and we will see you guys later.